The door to our cramped sophomore dorm room flew open with a bang that rattled the posters on the walls, and there he was, Ethan, my lab partner from Bio 201, drenched from the sudden downpour outside. His dark hair plastered to his forehead like he'd just run through a storm to get here. "I can't do this anymore," he gasped, his voice cracking as he slammed the door shut behind him, eyes wild with something between terror and desperation that made my heart stutter. In that split second, as rain pooled at his feet on our threadbare carpet, I knew whatever secret he'd been burying since freshman orientation was about to drag us both under. It was a Thursday night in late October, the kind of crisp fall evening in Boston where the Charles River fog rolls in thick, and the Harvard Square street lamps cast long golden shadows that make everything feel a little more alive, a little more possible. I'd been hunched over my desk in our shoebox of a room at Kirkland House, surrounded by the usual chaos. Half-eaten ramen cups from last night's cram session, a tangle of charging cords snaking across the floor like veins, and my roommate Jake's lacrosse stick propped against the bunk bed ladder like a forgotten sentinel. Jake was out, bless him, practicing with the team, leaving me alone with the hum of the radiator and the distant roar of undergrads stumbling home from the Crimson. I was supposed to be outlining my thesis on urban ecology, but my mind kept drifting to Ethan. We'd been paired up in Professor Hale's class 3 weeks ago, and ever since he'd been this enigma, sharp-witted during dissections, quick with a laugh that lit up the lecture hall, but always pulling back just when conversation edged toward anything real. Like today when he brushed off my invite to grab coffee after lab with a mumbled, "Maybe next time," his hazel eyes flicking away too fast. So when that door burst open, it was like the universe had decided to rewrite the script. Ethan stood there, chest heaving, his gray hoodie clinging to his shoulders in a way that made him look smaller, more vulnerable than the confident guy who dominated group projects. Water dripped from his chin onto the floor, and for a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then he crossed the room in 3 strides, collapsing onto the edge of my bed like his legs had given out. "Alex," he said, my name tumbling out like a confession. "You have to promise not to tell anyone. Not Jake, not Hale, nobody." I dropped my pen, the plastic clattering against my notebook. Promise? What the hell was this? My pulse thrummed in my ears, a mix of curiosity and that low-grade fear you get when someone's unraveling right in front of you. I'd known I was gay since high school back in Seattle. Awkward crushes on the swim team captain, stolen glances in the locker room, but college had been a revelation. Harvard wasn't exactly a rainbow parade, but the Queer Alliance meetings in the basement of the Union gave me a foothold, a place to breathe without the weight of my conservative parents' expectations crushing down. "Ethan, though?" he screamed, straight-edge golden boy. Fraternity rush whispers, weekend tailgates with the crew team. A girlfriend back in Philly named Sarah who'd posted heart-eyed selfies on his Insta last summer. Or so I'd thought. "Sit," I said, more command than invitation, grabbing a towel from my laundry basket and tossing it his way. He caught it midair, our fingers brushing for the briefest second, electric like static from the dryer. He mopped his face, but his eyes stayed locked on mine, stormy and searching. "Ethan, you're freaking me out. What's going on? Did something happen at the party last night? I saw you leave early with that guy from econ." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Don't. Just don't." The towel dropped to his lap, twisted in his fists. Outside, thunder rumbled low over the river, vibrating through the thin walls. I waited, the silence stretching taut as a bowstring. Finally, he exhaled, long and shaky. "I'm not who you think I am, Alex. Sarah. That was a cover. The parties, the brothers, it's all bullshit. I've been faking it since high school because my dad's some big-shot senator from Pennsylvania. And if he ever found out..." His voice trailed off, but the implication hung heavy. Disownment, scandal, the kind of fallout that ends in boarding school transfers or worse. My stomach twisted. Betrayal? No, this was deeper, raw, aching vulnerability laid bare in a room that smelled like stale pizza and old textbooks. I slid off my chair, kneeling in front of him on the carpet, close enough to smell the rain on his skin, the faint citrus of his shampoo. "Hey," I whispered, my hand hovering near his knee before I pulled back. "Too soon for that, too much at stake. You're safe here. Whatever it is, you can tell me." He looked at me then. Really looked, and something shifted. The wildness in his eyes softened, replaced by a hunger that mirrored my own hidden wants. "Why are you being so kind? Most guys would laugh me out of the room." Because I've been there, I admitted, the words slipping out before I could cage them. Hiding. Pretending. It's exhausting, Ethan. But you don't have to anymore. Not with me. That was the hook, the moment the line sank in deep. He leaned forward, our foreheads almost touching, and whispered, "What if I don't want to pretend with you?" His breath was warm against my cheek, and in that dorm room with the storm raging outside, the world narrowed to just us. Two boys on the cusp of something terrifying and beautiful. The next few days blurred into a haze of stolen moments and whispered secrets, the kind that make your chest ache with possibility. Ethan started showing up unannounced. After my shift at the campus coffee cart, during late-night study sessions in the biolab where the fluorescent lights buzzed like conspirators. We'd talk for hours sprawled on the quad under the autumn oaks, leaves crunching under us like brittle memories. He told me about growing up in Harrisburg, the pressure of his dad's campaigns where every family photo was staged for the cameras, how he'd first realized he was gay at 14 during a sleepover, watching his best friend change shirts and feeling a pull he couldn't name. "I buried it," he said one afternoon, as we skipped stones across the river, the water rippling gold in the late sun. "Prayed it away at youth group. Dated girls to prove I was normal. But you see me, Alex. Like I'm not broken." I wanted to tell him he wasn't broken at all, that the fractures made him shine brighter, but words failed me, tangled in the fear of scaring him off. Instead, I'd share bits of my own story. The coming out letter to my mom that took 3 drafts and a bottle of cheap wine, the relief of finding the GSA at orientation, the quiet thrill of my first kiss with a theater kid at last spring's Pride Mixer. It's not easy, I'd say, but it's worth it. You're worth it. Jake noticed, of course. My roommate was a walking stereotype, tall, blonde, all-American from some suburb in Ohio, the kind of guy who high-fived his way through life. "Dude, your lab partner's been crashing here a lot," he said one night, flopping onto his bunk after practice, sweat still beading on his neck. The room smelled like Axe body spray and victory. "You two writing a novel or what? Or is it?" He waggled his eyebrows, grinning that lopsided grin that usually got him out of trouble. I laughed it off, heat creeping up my neck. "Just group work, man. Hale's killer on deadlines." But inside, panic clawed at me. Jake was cool. Had marched in the Pride Parade last year as an ally, but Ethan wasn't ready for the world to know. Not yet. So I kept the door cracked just enough for plausible deniability, our conversations veering from quantum biology to queer icons like Audre Lorde, his laughter filling the space like sunlight through blinds. By mid-November, the air had turned biting, the campus blanketed in that first skim of snow that turns everything hushed and holy. Ethan and I had fallen into a rhythm. Tuesdays at the coop for overpriced lattes, Fridays dissecting frog legs while debating if love was just chemicals or something more metaphysical. And in those quiet hours after Jake crashed out snoring, Ethan would linger, our knees brushing under the desk lamp's glow. One night, as sleet tapped against the window like impatient fingers, he reached for my hand, tentative, trembling, and laced our fingers together. "This feels right," he murmured, his thumb tracing circles on my skin. "You feel right." My heart swelled, a tide pulling me under. I leaned in, our lips meeting soft and slow, tasting of peppermint gum and unspoken promises. It wasn't fireworks. It was a hearth fire, steady and warm, chasing away the chill. We pulled back, foreheads pressed, and in that breath I saw our future. Lazy Sundays in bed, road trips down the coast, a life unapologetic and ours. But secrets have a way of festering, and Ethan started to show cracks. He'd flinch at group texts from his frat buddies, delete voicemails from his dad with a curse under his breath. "He's coming to campus next weekend for the game," he confessed one evening, pacing our room while I tried to focus on econ notes. The radiator clanked like a warning bell. "Parents' weekend. Sarah's tagging along my cover story. I have to play the part, Alex. Act normal." Normal. The word landed like a gut punch. I set my highlighter down, forcing calm. "You don't have to. Tell him the truth. Or at least, let me be there. Moral support." He stopped pacing, ran a hand through his hair. "You don't get it. My family's everything, legacy, expectations. If I blow this, it's over. No trust fund, no law school recs. Just nothing." His voice broke and he sank beside me, head in hands. I wrapped an arm around his shoulders, pulling him close, feeling the tension coil in his muscles like a spring. "We'll figure it out," I lied, because what else could I say? But doubt wormed in, cold and insistent. Was this real or just a phase for him? A rebellion against Daddy's playbook? I pushed it down, focusing on the now. The way his body fit against mine, the steady rhythm of his breath syncing with my own. Parents' weekend dawned gray and relentless, the kind of New England November that seeps into your bones. Harvard Yard buzzed with overachieving families in khakis and pearls. Dad's grilling sons on GPAs while Mom's cooed over dorm decor. Jake's folks arrived with coolers of homemade pierogies, turning our room into a Slavic feast hall. But Ethan? He ghosted me that morning, a terse text. Stuck with fam talk later. I wandered the tailgate alone, nursing a lukewarm beer amid the crimson banners and brass band blare, watching couples and kin mingle like it was easy. By evening, as the stadium lights flickered on over the frozen field, I spotted him across the quad, arm in arm with Sarah, her blonde waves catching the floodlights, his smile a mask so perfect it hurt. She laughed at something he said, tossing her head back, and he glanced my way for a split second, apology in his eyes before turning back. My chest tightened, a vice of jealousy and sorrow. This was his world, one I couldn't touch without shattering it. I retreated to the dorm, the party raging below in the common room, bass thumping through the floors. Jake dragged me down for a beer pong rematch, but I begged off, claiming a headache. Truth was, my head was a storm. What are we doing? Is this worth the lie? Curled on my bunk, I scrolled old texts. His good night, beautiful from last week, the heart emoji that had made me grin like an idiot. A knock shattered the quiet. Soft, hesitant. "Alex." Ethan's voice muffled through the door. I bolted up, heart hammering, and yanked it open. He slipped in, still in his game day button-down, tie askew, Sarah's perfume clinging faint to his collar. I couldn't stay away. The speech, the photos, it's all fake. You're the only real thing. He kissed me then, fierce and needing, backing me against the wall with a desperation that stole my breath. Hands and hair, bodies pressing close. It was messy, urgent, a reclaiming. But as we broke apart, gasping, reality crashed back. "Your dad's downstairs," I panted. "What if he—" "Forget him." Ethan cupped my face, eyes fierce. "I choose this. I choose you." And in that vow, spoken in the dim glow of my desk lamp, I believed him. We had a chance. Winter break loomed like a guillotine, 2 weeks of forced separation. Me flying west to rainy Seattle, him trapped in Pennsylvania's gilded cage. We promise calls every night, texts like lifelines. The airport goodbye was torture. His hand lingering on mine at security, a stolen kiss behind a pillar that tasted of salt and farewell. "Come back to me," he whispered, and I nodded, throat tight. Home was a trial. Mom's passive-aggressive sighs over my city habits. Dad's lectures on settling down with a nice girl from church. I came out to them sophomore year. A halting dinner conversation that ended in tears and tentative hugs, but the undercurrent lingered, disappointment masked as concern. Ethan's updates were my anchor. Dad grilled me on grades. Sarah's visiting next month, kill me. I fired back encouragement, photos of Pike Place fish-tossing to make him laugh. New Year's Eve, he called at midnight my time. 3 a.m. his voice slurred with champagne and exhaustion. "Happy New Year, Alex. Can't wait to hold you again." Fireworks popped outside my window, but his words lit me brighter. "Love you," I said the first time aloud. Silence, then a soft, "Me too." January thawed the campus in fits and starts, snow melting to slush underfoot. Ethan returned changed, thinner, shadows under his eyes, but his smile for me was sunbreak. We dove back in. Study dates that stretched to dawn, walks along the snowy esplanade where he'd quote Whitman. "I am he that walks with the tender and growing night." His arms slung casual around my shoulders, testing the waters of public affection. Jake ribbed us gently. "You two are basically married." And for the first time it felt possible. Real. But shadows lengthened. Ethan's phone buzzed more. Urgent calls from home, cryptic texts from bros that made him pale. One night in early February, as we huddled under blankets on my bed, Jake mercifully at a party, Ethan's screen lit up. "Dad, we need to talk." "Sarah incident." He froze, blood draining from his face. "What happened?" I asked, dread pooling. He swallowed hard. "Last week at the gala." Sarah got drunk, started blabbing about us being just friends. Dad cornered her, thinks I'm cheating. With a guy. The words hung, a noose tightening. He doesn't know about you, but he's suspicious. Hired some PI or something. God, Alex, if he finds out. We'll face it together. I pulled him close, but his body was rigid, a fortress rebuilding. You're not alone. He nodded, but doubt flickered. The next week he pulled away. Cancelled plans, vague excuses. Lab sessions turned awkward, his jokes forced. I confronted him in the empty lecture hall after class, rain lashing the windows like accusations. Talk to me, Ethan. What's really going on? He paced the aisle, tie loosened, looking every inch the senator's son unraveling. It's not you. It's everything. Dad's pushing law school at Penn, interning with his campaign. If I come out now, it's suicide. Career over before it starts. He stopped, eyes pleading. I need time. Just a little more pretending. Pretending. Again. The words sliced deep. How much time? Until when? I'm tired of being your secret, Ethan. I love you, but I can't live half a life. His face crumpled. I love you too. That's why it hurts. He reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance a chasm. Give me until summer. Please. I wanted to scream, to shake him until the truth stuck. Instead, I nodded, numb. Summer. But as he left, the door clicking shut like finality, I wondered if we'd make it that far. Spring unfurled in deceptive beauty. Cherry blossoms dusting the yard pink. The air humming with commencement fever. Ethan and I limped along, a fragile truce. Stolen kisses in library stacks. Notes slipped into textbooks like love letters from a bygone era. But the strain showed, my grades slipped, Jake's concerned glances multiplied. You okay, bro? Look like you haven't slept since winter break. Fine, I'd mutter, burying myself in shifts at the cart, steaming milk until my hands blistered. Truth was, the secrecy gnawed at me, a slow poison. I confided in Mia from GSA. Her dorm a sanctuary of fairy lights and herbal tea. He's scared. I told her one rainy afternoon, knees drawn up on her futon. But so am I. What if he chooses them over us? She squeezed my hand, her braids swinging. Then he wasn't worth the wait. You deserve someone who shouts your name from the rooftops. Alex. Her words echoed as May bloomed into finals crunch. Ethan aced his exams, of course, poised, unflappable. But our nights grew shorter, his excuses longer. The breaking point came at the senior showcase. A glittering affair in the Loeb Center with string quartets and alumni schmoozing. Jake dragged us both. For networking, dude, your future self thanks me. Ethan wore a suit that hugged his frame like sin, and for a moment under the chandeliers, he was mine again. Hand on my lower back as we navigated the crowd, a wink that promised later. Later came in the form of a rooftop after-party. City lights sprawling below like a promise. We slipped away to a quiet corner, the bass muffled, his lips on my neck whispering. Missed this. Heat flared, but so did caution. Too many eyes, too many whispers. As we pulled apart, a voice cut through. Ethan? That you? We turned. There, beer in hand, was Connor, frat pledge, Ethan's old roommate from Rush. Broad grin, easy charm. Dude, where you been? Dad's inside, schmoozing with the dean. Said something about you interning this summer? Epic. Ethan stiffened, mask snapping on. Yeah, man. Summer in DC campaign trail. He clapped Connor's shoulder, the gesture brotherly, but his eyes screamed trap. Connor's gaze flicked to me, lingering. And who's this? Lab partner, right? Alex, yeah? Heard you two are thick as thieves. His tone was light but probing, like he'd heard rumors, pieced together dots. Just study buddies, Ethan said too quickly, stepping away from me. The distance burned. Connor nodded, oblivious or pretending, and clapped us both on the back before vanishing into the throng. Back in the dorm that night, the silence was deafening. Jake was out cold, but Ethan paced like a caged wolf. See? That's what I'm talking about. One slip and it's over. Connor's got a big mouth. Text the group chat everything. You're paranoid. I shot back, anger bubbling. Or maybe you're just looking for excuses to bail. He whirled. Bail? I'm fighting for us. You think this is easy? Every day, choosing you over. Over what? Your dad's approval? The easy path. I stood chest heaving. I'm not a phase, Ethan. If you can't stand up, I will, he roared, voice echoing off the cinder blocks. Then softer, broken. I will. Just. Not yet. The fight simmered into stalemate, a cold war of polite texts and avoided eyes. June arrived with graduation pomp, caps tossing like black confetti against blue skies. Jake hugged me fierce. Don't be a stranger, queer. Before jetting to Ohio, Ethan and I parted awkwardly at the gates, his summer internship a chasm. DC suits and strategy sessions, me back at the coffee cart saving for grad school apps. Separation bred distance. Calls dwindled to texts, busy day. Miss you. Mine grew sharper. When's the last time you fought for us? His replies soon. Promise. July 4th weekend I caved. Booked a Bolt bus to DC, surprise visit, heart in throat. The city sweltered, monuments gleaming under relentless sun. I texted from the metro. Meet me at the Lincoln Memorial? 7 p.m. His reply, can't. Work dinner. Tomorrow? Tomorrow became the next day, then radio silence. Panic set in, voicemails unanswered. Insta stories of him at galas, arm around Sarah again. Her smile brittle as glass. What's going on? I typed, fingers shaking on the hotel bedspread that smelled of bleach and regret. The call came at 2 a.m. His dad, voice like gravel. Alexander? This is Senator Hargrove. Ethan's told me. Everything. Stay away from my son. Ice in my veins. What did he? He's confused. Pressures of youth. We're handling it, family counseling a break from. Distractions. The line went dead. Betrayal hit like a freight train. I bolted the next morning. Bus rumbling north through haze. Tears blurring the window. Back in Boston, the dorm echoed empty. Jake's lacrosse stick gone, my posters curling at the edges. Mia found me there, curled fetal, and held me as sobs racked. He sold you out, she said, fury in her eyes. For what? A pat on the head. Grief morphed to rage, then hollow ache. I threw myself into apps, grad school at Yale for environmental policy, a fresh start. August emails from Ethan. Please, Alex. It wasn't like that. Dad found the texts. Forced my hand. I still delete it unread. Fall semester started without him, new lab partner. A shy girl from Cali named Lena who baked cookies for group meets. Life stitched forward thread by thread. GSA presidency. A date with a poet from Lit Mag that fizzled, sweet but safe. Healing slow as river ice melt. Then November again, 1 year on. A package arrived at the post office. Manila envelope, no return address. Inside a letter, his handwriting shaky. I'm in Philly. Came out. Dad cut me off, bank accounts frozen, internship yanked. Sarah's gone for real. It hurts, but I'm free. Saw your Yale acceptance on Facebook. Proud of you. If there's any way. I understand if not. But I love you. Always. Tears blurred the ink. Humanistic, they called it, the gray spaces where forgiveness tempers justice. I didn't call. Not yet. Instead, I walked to the river, snow dusting my boots, and skipped a stone across the water. Ripples spread endless. Life wasn't tidy arcs. It was this, trust shattered, secrets spilled. Love enduring in the ruins. Thanksgiving break, I boarded the train south. Not for answers but for possibility. The skyline sharpened as we neared Philly, heart steady. Whatever came, reunion or goodbye, we'd face it open-eyed, no more shadows. Because in the end, that's the American dream we chase. Not perfection but the brave, messy truth of becoming. The train rattled into 30th Street Station under a sky bruised purple with dusk, the kind of late autumn twilight that wraps Philadelphia in a hush before the holiday lights flicker on. I stepped onto the platform, backpack slung heavy with doubts and a thermos of black coffee gone cold, scanning the crowd for hazel eyes that might or might not be waiting. Ethan's letter had arrived 2 weeks ago, a grenade lobbed into my carefully rebuilt walls, and I'd spent every night since staring at the ceiling, replaying our dorm room symphony, the highs of whispered confessions, the lows of his hand slipping from mine under scrutiny. Yale deferred my start to spring, mercy or curse. Leaving this limbo, this pull south like gravity reclaiming its due. He was there, leaning against a pillar near the Amtrak sign, thinner than summer. His coat a woolen armor against the chill wind whipping off the Schuylkill. No grand gesture, just him, hands shoved in pockets, gaze lifting as I approached, tentative as a question. Alex, he breathed like my name was oxygen after drowning. Up close, the changes hit. Stubble shadowing his jaw, laugh lines etched deeper around his eyes, a weariness that aged him beyond 21. Ethan. My voice came out steady, surprise. We stood there, the station's bustle swirling around us, commuters rushing for the L, a busker strumming Danny Boy on a battered guitar, like extras in our private scene. Then impulse, I dropped my bag, pulled him into a hug. He stiffened, then melted, arms wrapping fierce, face buried in my shoulder. He smelled of wool and wintergreen gum. Familiar ache blooming in my chest. Sorry, he mumbled into my jacket. For the ambush. The letter. I didn't know if you'd come. I almost didn't. Honesty raw as peeled skin. We pulled back, his hands lingering on my arms, thumbs brushing sleeves like anchors. But curiosity. Closure. Something. He nodded, swallowing hard. Fair. My car's out front. Mom's place is 20 minutes, quiet neighborhood in Chestnut Hill. She's on board. Sort of. His mom. The wild card I'd never met, the soft-spoken wife in campaign photos who baked apple pies for fundraisers. Ethan led the way to a beat-up Civic, his pre-cut off, a relic from high school, and we slid in, heater blasting against the frost etching the windows. The drive wound through city veins. Past the art museum steps where Rocky once triumphed, under the L's rumble, into suburbs where brownstones gave way to colonials draped in early Christmas lights. Silence stretched, companionable but charged, broken only by the radio's murmur of indie folk. So, I ventured as we turned onto a tree-lined street, gas lamps flickering like old sentinels. Philly post-Harvard. How's that treating you? He gripped the wheel tighter. Real. Job at a nonprofit LGBTQ youth outreach. Entry-level grunt work, but meaningful. No sweets, no esmosing. A wry smile. Dad's still persona non grata. Hasn't spoken since August. Mom's caught in the crossfire. Loves him, loves me, hates the war. Empathy tugged. Families weren't villains in fairy tales. They were flawed, fumbling toward grace. And you? Holding up. Some days. He parked in a driveway, gravel crunching. Headlights sweeping a Victorian with gingerbread trim. Porch swing creaking empty. Therapy helps. Coming out to friends, most stuck around. The ones who didn't. Their loss. His eyes met mine, vulnerable. Missed you most. Inside, the house enveloped us in warmth. Pine-scented air from a crackling fire. Shelves groaning with photo albums and Senate memorabilia. Ethan at 8 in a tiny suit, gap-toothed grin. His mom Ellen emerged from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, silver-streaked hair pinned back. Alexander, she said, pulling me into a hug that smelled of cinnamon and Chanel. We've heard so much. Call me Ellen. None of that Mrs. Hargrove nonsense. Dinner was pot roast and stories, her gentle probing easing the tension. My Seattle roots, Yale dreams, the coffee cart tales that had Ethan chuckling genuine. He was ruthless with the espresso pulls, he said, fork midway to mouth. Like a barista assassin. Ellen watched us, eyes soft. Ethan's letters from Boston. They glowed when he wrote of you. She paused, sipping wine. I wish we'd met sooner. Under better stars. Stars aligned crooked, but we talked till the fire died to embers. Ethan and I washing dishes side by side, suds bubbling like secrets shared. His fingers brushed mine under the faucet, deliberate now, no hiding, and heat sparked, old flames kindling. Upstairs, guest room with quilts and a window overlooking the garden. He lingered in the doorway. Night, he said, voice low. Thanks for coming. I crossed the threshold, cupped his cheek. Not done talking yet. Our kiss was slow, exploratory. Forgiveness in the press of lips, questions in the tangle of tongues. No rush, no desperation. Just us reclaiming ground inch by inch. He stayed till dawn, bodies entwined under flannel, breath sinking like a lullaby. Morning brought coffee and clarity. We walked the Wissahickon trails, leaves crunching copper underfoot, mist rising from the creek like ghosts dispersing. The betrayal, I started, words tumbling as we crossed a footbridge, water rushing below. Your dad's call, it gutted me. Felt like I'd been a placeholder. He stopped, hand on the rail, knuckles white. I panicked. He found the phone, texts, photos. Cornered me in his study, face like thunder. Fix this, son, or lose everything. I echoed him. To buy time. Called you a distraction to throw him off. Shame colored his cheeks. Cowardice. Pure. Why not fight? Wind tugged his scarf, revealing the pulse jumping at his throat. Fear. Of losing you for real. Of him turning vicious, outing me to the press on his terms. He turned, eyes pleading. But I ended it. Told him that night. He's not the problem. My hiding is. Walked out with nothing but my wallet and pride. Pride. The word hung a bridge mending. We resumed walking, shoulders brushing. I get it, I said finally. Doesn't excuse but explains. Took me months to trust again. Dated a bit, nothing stuck. His jaw tightened. Wish I could erase that hurt. You can't. But you're here now. At trail's end, a clearing with a bench overlooking the valley, we sat, his head on my shoulder. What next? For us. Hope, he murmured. If you'll have me. Slow visits, calls. No secrets. I tilted his chin, kissed him soft. Slow sounds right. The weekend unfolded like a bomb. Farmers market runs for cider and pumpkins, movie marathons in the basement with Ellen's popcorn, nights where talk turned tender, dreams of joint grad programs, a life stitched from shared scars. Sunday loomed departure, but as he drove me back, skyline sharpening, resolve settled. Trains at 4, I said, but he veered toward Rittenhouse Square, parking amid dog walkers and brunch crowds. Detour. He led me to a cafe tucked on Walnut, all exposed brick and jazz humming low. Over lattes he slid a key across the table, brass worn. Spare to Mom's place. Or mine if I find one. Come anytime. Stay. My fingers closed over it, weight of commitment. Reckless. Worth it. His smile, boyish and bold, cracked my last reservations. The train north pulled away as dusk deepened, Philly receding like a promise kept. I texted Mia. Forgiving. Forward. Her reply proud. Deserved the stars. Winter gripped Boston anew, but warmth lingered. From Ethan's daily calls, weekend Amtraks that blurred into holidays. Christmas in Chestnut Hill. Ellen's tree strung with heirlooms. Ethan's gift, a leather journal inscribed for our story, unwritten pages. New Year's in my empty dorm. Jake subletting to a frosh. We toasted with cheap bubbly resolutions whispered against skin. Be brave. Be us. Spring at Yale beckoned, but we carved space. Him interviewing for Philly orgs, me scouting New Haven spots with GSA ties. Conflicts arose, his dad's campaign ads blanking him out, a nasty op-ed in the Inquirer twisting his coming out as youthful folly, but we faced them tandem, his hand in mine at a local pride vigil, rainbow flags snapping in the breeze. Graduation came dual. His non-profit ceremony understated, mine Yale's pomp with gowns and speeches on resilience. He flew up, suit crisp, cheering loudest from the stands. After, under the residential college arches, he dropped to one knee, not ring but a promise. A simple band of woven silver, etched with trust rebuilt. Not forever yet, he said, sliding it on. But always starting. Tears pricked as I pulled him up, kissing fierce amid whoops and petals. Life's arc bent humanistic. Not flawless triumph but earned grace, secrets transmuted to strength. In America's vast tapestry we were one thread. Gay, flawed, loving, loud. And that, in dorm rooms or drawing rooms, was enough. Yale's Gothic spires loomed like ancient guardians as I hauled my life across the threshold of Saybrook College that September. Boxes stamped with Boston ghosts and Philly promises. Ethan had helped load the U-Haul in Chestnut Hill the week prior. His laugh echoing off Mom's garage as we tetrasaid books and that lacrosse stick I'd kept as a talisman of simpler days. Think you'll miss the chaos? He teased, wiping sweat from his brow, muscles flexing under a faded Harvard tee that still fit too well. Chaos finds me, I'd shot back, taping a label to a crate of our mingled journals, pages filled with dorm doodles and whispered what-ifs. Now alone in the humid New Haven heat, the suite felt vast. High ceilings echoing my footsteps, windows framing the green where Frisbee games unfolded like living paintings. My roommate Theo arrived later. A theater major from Chicago with a mane of curls and a vinyl collection that promised late-night spins of Bowie and Sondheim. Queer? He asked over pizza that first night, casual as checking majors. Yep. Boyfriend in Philly, long-distance warrior. I flashed the silver band, now a fixture on my right hand. It's we've a daily reminder. Theo grinned, clinking his bottle. Solid. Last year's roomie ghosted after a bad breakup. Drama central. Let's keep it chill. Chill suited me, a deliberate pace after the storm. Classes dove deep. Environmental ethics seminars dissecting climate justice through queer lenses. Field trips to the Sound where salt air sharpened thoughts on legacy. Ethan visited fortnightly. Bolt bus pilgrimages that bookend weekends in New Haven dives. Burgers at Claire's Corner Copia. Walks through the Yale Art Gallery where we'd linger at Hopper's Nighthawks, debating isolation versus chosen solitude. But distance tested, insidious as ivy creeping walls. His calls grew clipped, non-profit deadlines piling. A promotion chase that had him burning midnight oil on grant proposals. Miss your voice, I'd say, curled in my loft bed while Theo snored below, city lights filtering through blinds. Miss your everything, he'd reply, fatigue lacing the words. Weekends mine, Philly to New Haven your bed waiting. Yet weekends slipped. A donor gala canceling one, flu sidelining another. Texts bridged gaps. Love you storming the barricades but doubt whispered. Is this sustainable? Mia now at BU Law FaceTimed weekly pep talks. Long distance is boot camp for love. If it bends, it doesn't break you. October brought homecoming, Yale's version subdued but spirited, bulldog banners fluttering. Alumni flooding the bowl for the Harvard game. I invited Ethan but campaign season peaked. His dad running for re-election, old wounds reopening. Can't bail on the youth panel, he explained over static Y connection, train rumbling behind. But hey, video call from the tailgate? It stung but I nodded to the screen, cheering solo amid the brass band's blare. Theo slung an arm around me, pint raised. To absent lovers and present friends. November's chill deepened resolve. Thanksgiving in Philly. Ellen's table groaning with turkey and tails. Ethan's sister Lila, 17, sharp as a tack, eyeing me curious. So you're the one who stole his heart from Beantown? She quipped, passing cranberry sauce. Guilty, I laughed, Ethan's foot nudging mine under linen. Post-feast, we escaped to Fairmount Park. Leaves a carpet of fire underfoot. Dad sent a letter. Ethan confessed, breath fogging as we crunched along the lagoon path. Ducks quacked indignant at our intrusion. Apology, sort of. Proud of your path, even if I don't understand. First crack in the ice. Progress, I said, squeezing his hand. Public now, unapologetic. He'll come around. Or he won't. But you've got us. The word anchored a flotilla against tides. Christmas split. Me Seattle bound for obligatory family détente. Mom's gingerbread reconciliations. Dad's gruff herd Yale's tough make us proud. Him DC for a Hargrove détente dinner neutral ground. New Year's reunited us in Philly. Countdown in Rittenhouse with champagne and confessions. Marry me someday? He murmured at midnight, fireworks blooming over City Hall. Someday, I echoed, sealing with a kiss that tasted of futures. January's semester grind hit hard, midterms looming. A thesis proposal on queer ecologies demanding drafts till dawn. Ethan's promotion landed. Program coordinator, salary bump funding more trips. But strain showed. A canceled Valentine's, my frustration boiling over a garbled call. I need you here, not pixels. I snapped, voice echoing in the empty suite. Theo at rehearsal. Silence then hurt. I'm trying, Alex. Philly's not the moon. It's close enough. Hang up, regret instant. Apology text flew. Sorry. Tired. Love you. Is me too. Plane tickets booked, surprise weekend. He arrived Friday dusk, duffel slung, grinned sheepish under the portcullis gate. We collided in a heap of limbs and laughter. Theo wolf whistling from his scripts. That night, New Haven's snowy streets our playground. Hot cocoa at the study, where leather armchairs cradled confessions. I hate the distance too, he admitted, marshmallows melting on his tongue. Dream of us in one city, green spaces, grad programs overlapping. Berkeley. I teased, knowing his poli-sci bent. Or Penn Law with a social justice twist. His fingers traced my band. Wherever together. Spring bloom tentative, crocuses pushing through frosts. Conflict crested in April. A storm brewed from afar. Ethan's dad, trailing in polls, leaked a smear. Anonymous op-ed in a conservative rag painting Ethan's nonprofit as radical agenda pushing, tying it to family discord. Backlash hit. Donors wavering, board meetings tense, Ethan arriving at Yale hollow-eyed after a red eye. "It's bullshit," he fumed, pacing my room while I brewed tea, rain-lashing pains, weaponizing my life for votes. I pulled him down, arms fortress. Then fight back. "Op-ed of your own, your story unfiltered." He balked. "Expose the family laundry? Mom's mortified." "Or free yourself." Words hung challenge. That week he drafted, words pouring like catharsis. Youth closets, love's cost, policy's human toll. Published in the Yale Daily News, syndicated wide, it went viral. Shares from GLAAD, retweets from allies in D.C. Fallout swift. His dad's campaign imploded. Concession call the night before Yale's commencement. Ethan read the letter aloud over speaker, voice steady. "Son, I was wrong. Pride in you, always." Tears, ours mingled across miles. Graduation dawned brilliant. Gowns swirling on cross campus. Ethan in the crowd, silver band glinting, cheering as I crossed the stage, diploma in hand, heart full. After, under the Harkness Tower bells, he knelt again. This time a ring, gold, simple, engraved, our secrets shared. "Forever?" he asked, eyes shining. "Forever," I said, yes, a vow etched eternal. Life post-Yale unfolded mosaic. Joint move to DC, me at an EPA fellowship, him scaling the nonprofit ladder. Weddings followed, small, Quaker style in Philly, Ellen beaming. Jake best man with toast that roasted gentle. Conflicts lingered. Policy clashes, family men slow. But we navigated, therapists and date nights our compass. Years layered. A brownstone in Capitol Hill. Garden where tomatoes vied with tulips. Adoptions talked in whispers. A future family sketched broad. Betrayals faded to lessons. Trust rebuilt brick by resilient brick. In America's heart, amid monuments to flawed founders, we carved our monument. Love humanistic, gay and unyielding. A story whispered in dorms, shouted from rooftops. One evening, years on, porch swing creaking under starlit sky, Ethan traced my ring. "Remember that rainy night? Door bursting open." I smiled, head on his shoulder. Hook of a lifetime. And so it was, our narrative, 5,000 words of storm and sun, secrets to symphony. DC's summer humidity clung like a second skin. That July we settled into the brownstone. Boxes still half unpacked amid the scent of fresh paint and magnolia from the backyard. Ethan had found the place. A steel and hill east, 3 stories of Victorian charm with creaky oak floors and windows framing the Anacostia like a ribbon of possibility. "Our fortress," he declared, key turning in the lock that first walked through. His arm around my waist as sunlight slanted through dust motes. Now, evenings found us on the stoop, sweating over takeout falafel, debating cabinet picks while cicadas chorused approval. My EPA gig was greenlit chaos. Policy briefs on carbon capture, meetings in brutalist bunkers where suits eyed my rainbow pin with polite detachment. Ethan's days blurred at the center. Youth forums on intersectional rights, grand hustles that left him wired at midnight. "Another win," he'd announce, bursting through the door with craft beer and grin, collapsing beside me on the couch where I'd staked claim with a laptop and legal pads. "Details," I'd demand, legs tangled as he recounted. A trans kid from Anacostia finding voice, sponsors secured for summer camps. Pride swelled, mingled with our private rituals. Friday markets at Eastern, where we'd haggle over heirloom tomatoes, his hand casual in mine amid strollers and dog leashes. But city's pulse with undercurrents, and DC's was power's shadow. Ethan's visibility, that op-ed's echo drew spotlights. Invites to Hill briefings, a podcast slot on queer policy frontiers. Thrilling till the threats trickled in. Emails laced with slurs, a slashed tire outside the center one muggy dawn. "Hates old news," he shrugged over breakfast, buttering toast as I fretted. "We armor up." Armor. Security apps, ally networks, but unease lodged, a pebble in my shoe. September sharpened it. A gala at the Kennedy Center, black tie schmooze for environmental donors. Ethan came as my +1, tux tailored sharp, turning heads as we navigated crystal flutes and small talk. "Hargrove?" a lobbyist queried, name-dropping his dad with oily smile. "Heard the senators eyeing a comeback. Family reconciliation." Ethan's jaw ticked, champagne untouched. Water under the bridge. I'm building my own. Later, on the balcony overlooking the Potomac, moon silvering the tide, he exhaled. Stirred up ghosts. Dad called last week, wants lunch. Mend fences, he says. I leaned on the rail, city lights winking. Go. Hear him out. Not for him, for you. Lunch was neutral turf. A Georgetown bistro with checkered cloths and whispers. He returned quieter, salad uneaten on the counter.
Apologiza propé.
For the PI, the pressure. Even mentioned you. If he's good for you, son. Voice trailed, wonder lacing. Offered internship at his firm. Bridge building. Take it. I probed, stirring pasta sauce, steam rising like questions. He shook his head. Nah. My path's here, grassroots, not glass towers. But it's something. Something bloomed. Tentative emails from Senator Hargrove. Policy white papers shared for your thoughts. Christmas brought him to the brownstone. Awkward at first, tie loosened over eggnog, Lila mediating with teen snark. Dad, Alex's pie is better than yours, she declared, plate piled high. Laughter cracked ice, and by Yule log's end he clapped Ethan's shoulder. Proud boy. Truly. Pride's tide lifted us into the new year, but conflict brewed domestic. My fellowship's relocation threat to Atlanta. A 2-year stint on Gulf restoration. Go, Ethan urged over diner #1 gray morning. Capitol Dome fogged beyond the window. Career rocket, can't stall for me. Us or solo? I countered, fork-stabbing eggs. DC's our anchor. Debate spiraled. Pros and spreadsheets, funding impact. Cons and heartbeats, miles accruing like debt. Theo, visiting from Chicago's improv scene. Crashed a night, regaling with breakup lore. Distance killed mine, text turned toxic. Fight for the now. Now won. I negotiated remote hybrid. Atlanta quarters a Pide Terra for field weeks. First trip south. Ethan drove me to the airport, beltway snarling. Call every night. He bossed, kiss fierce at security. No ghosts. South was sultry revelation. Marshes teeming with egrets, oyster reefs I'd mapped in models now tangible under waders. Texts flew. Sunset over the marsh, wish you saw. His board meeting dragged. Dreaming of your hands. Mid-May, crisis hit. A donor pullout at the center, budget hemorrhaging. Ethan flew down unannounced. Landing amid my hotel's fluorescent lobby. Duffel light. Back up, he grinned, pulling me into magnolia-scented arms. Weekend blurred. Beignet breakfasts in the quarter. Drives along barrier islands where waves gnawed dunes like regrets. This, he said, sand gritting our toes, is why we endure. Beauty in the breaks. Endure we did, my return syncing with his conferences, brownstone a revolving hearth. Summer solstice brought Lila's graduation. Philly pomp, her speech on authentic allies earning whoops, Ethan's eyes misty. After party at the house, she cornered me by the grill. Thanks for sticking. He was a mess without you. Fall's harvest moon saw promotion duel. My lead on a resilience report, his center expansion to Baltimore. Gala Redux, now co-hosts, we danced under chandeliers, his hand warm at my back. To us, he toasted, flute raised. Unbreakable. But brakesmen crooked. October unearthed mine. A policy clash at EPA. Higher-ups quashing my queer-inclusive climate equity section as divisive. Fury boiled home, unpacked in rants over takeout pad thai. It's erasure again. I fumed, chopsticks stabbing noodles. Like Dad's church talks but with spreadsheets. Ethan, listen then. Write the counterpiece. Leak it if you must. Be the voice they fear. Voice amplified. Op-ed in Politico, ripples to hearings where I testified. Band glinting under C-SPAN lights. Backlash, trolls, a demotion whisper, but solidarity surged. Allies emailing support. Ethan's center hosting a panel on eco-justice and identity. November's chill brought Thanksgiving redux. Hargrove clan expanded, Ellen's table now including my folks. Seattle flight fraught but fruitful, mom's hug lingering. Dad's nod at Ethan's firm grip. Take care of him. Lila's quips bridged gaps. Turkey carved amid toasts to found family. Winter solstice, brownstone aglow with lights strung by our hands. Ethan proposed proper. Rooftop under stars, ring velvet boxed, knee bent on astroturf. Alex, through dorm storms and policy wars, marry me? Yes, breathless, ring sliding home. Platinum now, etched secrets to vows. Wedding wove spring. April ceremony in Rock Creek Park. Cherry blossoms confetti. Jake officiating with vows laced lacrosse metaphors. Like a perfect pass, trust the arc. Vows exchanged. In shadows and sun, I choose you. Honeymooned coastal. Amalfi dreams deferred for Outer Banks reality. Dunes and lighthouses, bodies salt-kissed. Our sequel, Ethan murmured, waves lapping as we walked hand in hand. Years accreted. Adoptions pursued. First a foster placement, toddler twins with giggles like bells. Center grew national, my EPA role policy shaping. Conflicts. Dips in the road, workaholic spells, parenting panics, but mended with counselors and date nights, brownstone echoing laughter. Decades mark, porch swing our throne, twins Abed. Ethan traced my ring. From that dorm door, worth every secret. Worth every scar, I echoed. Human tapestry, our thread vibrant. Gay love, American grit, enduring. The twins turned 5 that balmy June. A backyard bash under the brownstone's magnolia where balloons bobbed like escaped dreams and Lila's playlist thumped kid-friendly bops. Theo flew in from his Broadway understudy gig. Jake from Ohio coaching. Even Senator Hargrove, retired now, silver-haired and softer, man-hatted over with Ellen, toting a cake-iced superheroes unite. The boys, Kai and Leo, romped in capes we'd sewn crooked. Chocolate smears on cheeks as Ethan chased them with a hose. Laughter booming off brick walls. Daddy catch. Kai squealed, water arcing rainbows. I watched from the porch, beer sweating in hand. Heart full tangy like the lemonade Mia spiked nearby. She'd traded law for activism. Her nonprofit partnering Ethan's center on voting rights drives. Look at you, domestic legend, she teased, clinking bottles. From dorm heartbreak to this? Arc of the century. Co-written, I said, gaze on Ethan, damp shirt clinging, eyes crinkling mid-laugh. Decade plus in, he still hooked me. That first storm vulnerability etched permanent, our love a patina burnished daily. Party wound to dusk, guests drifting with goodie bags and hugs. Hargrove lingered, cornering me by the grill's dying coals. Alexander, Alex, he amended, voice gruff as gravel. You've been good for him. For us. Hand extended, grip firm, no caveats. Progress, hard won. Bedtime ritual post-fate. Stories of caped crusaders saving worlds with kindness. Kai's head on my chest, Leo's fingers twined in Ethan's. And they lived bravely. Ethan finished, voice a hush. Lights out, we retreated to our room. Master suite we'd claimed after the twins. King bed a haven of flannel and forgotten briefs. Survived another, he murmured, pulling me close, skin warm against mine. Barely, your hose ambush? I mock-groaned, nuzzling his neck. Love-making followed slow, familiar. Hands mapping scars and swells. Breaths a duet to climax's hush. After tangled sheets he traced my ring. Ever think we'd get here? From secrets to this circus. Pinched myself daily first years, I admitted, fingers in his hair. Doubted the plot twist. Doubts the villain we slayed.
Kish soft. Ceiling.
Autumn's palette turned DC golden, school routines sinking. Drop-offs at the bilingual co-op, carpools with queer dads swapping tips on ally books. My EPA work evolved, senior advisor now, briefing White House on resilient cities, queer lens woven standard. Ethan's center hit milestones. Satellite in Atlanta, where I'd consulted early, youth testimonials filling halls with hope. Conflict crested subtle. Midterms, Ethan's keynote at a national conference clashing my parents' silver anniversary in Seattle. Fly out after? I proposed over breakfast, oatmeal steaming as twins' crayon placemats. He nodded, but weariness shadowed. Dad's health scare last month, prostate early catch, has me stretched. Want to be there more. Guilt pricked, our lives' orbits occasionally eclipsing. Scale back. Center's solid. You're not indispensable. Worth it, he insisted, but cracks showed. Skip dinners, calls cut short. Mia noticed at a Hill coffee clatch. Burnout's a thief. Talk before it steals joy. Talk we did, November Eve, leave skittering gutters over wine on the swing. I resent the pull, he confessed, glass stem twisting. Family mending's good, but us first. Always, I vowed, hand over heart. Boundaries redrawn. Shared calendars, therapy tag teams, Hargrove visits capped quarterly. Winter holidays layered joy atop ache. Seattle for my folks bash. Mom's tree farm fresh. Dad grilling Ethan on policy nonsense with twinkling eye. Twins sled Puget Sound slopes. Building snow forts with cousins. Back DC New Year's with the crew. Jake's tales of coaching queers. Theo's showtune serenades. Fireworks over the mall sinking our cheers. Spring's thaw birthed renewal. Family trip to Outer Banks Redux. Kite soaring as Kai buried Leo in sand. Ethan and I stealing beach walks. Kids changed the math, he mused, shells crunching. Love multiplies but time divides. Divvy smart, I replied, arm-linked. We're pros. Summer scorched but growth shaded. Lila's wedding in Philly. A garden affair where she wed her college sweetheart, vows echoing ours. Ethan walked her aisle teary. I held his hand through toasts, Hargrove's speech humble. Family's what we nurture, not dictate. Fall's equinox marked twin school milestone. Kindergarten jitters quelled with backpack parades. Ethan volunteering art, dad, me science. Work peaks aligned, my congressional testimony on climate refugees, his center gala raising records. Gala night suited sharp, we danced to a jazz quartet, his whisper hot. Proud of my partner in crime. Partner. Word weighted sweet, our union legal since that park day but deepened in dailies. Arguments over bedtime rules melting to make up snuggles, vacations plotting. National Parks quest, teaching boys granite's patience. Crisis shadowed December. Ethan's dad hospitalized, routine turned complication, pneumonia gripping frail lungs. We helicoptered north. ICU beeps a dirge as Ellen clutched rosaries, Lila paced. Stubborn fool, Hargrove rasped from bed. Oxygen mask fogged, gripping Ethan's hand. Tell Alex. Grateful. He did, bedside vigil our vigil. Twins FaceTiming drawings, Mia sending care packages. Recovery slow, rehab a slog but mended. Hargrove discharged to assisted living, visits our rhythm. Board games with grumbles turning giggles. New Year dawned reflective. Brownstone resolutions pen joint. More parks, less screens. Date nights mandatory. Twins thrived, Kai's sketches queer heroes. Leo's questions on two dads magic. Pride Month amplified. Center parade float our chariot. Family astride, rainbows draping. Decades end loomed but stories loop not end. One storm lashed night, echoing that Boston downpour. Ethan found me in the study, thesis revisions for a book on eco-queer futures. Remember, he said, towel draped from shower, grin sly. Door slam, secrets spilling. I rose pulling him close. Best plot twist. Co-author forever. Kiss deepened, life's narrative ours. Dramatic dips, romantic rises, humanistic heart beating steady. From dorm to dynasty, trust thread wove unbreakable. A gay American odyssey, secrets sanctified, love's light undimmed.